So today we'll be looking at the 14-inch M1 Pro MacBook Pro and asking the question, 1 year later, is it still a beast? Let's find out.
So in terms of specs, I've gone for the M1 Pro chip with 16 gigabytes of RAM. I've added 2 CPUs and 2 GPUs to make it 10 and 16, and I've doubled the SSD to 1 terabyte. I also got the slightly more powerful 96 watt brick, which comes standard with the CPU GPU upgrade. This is nice for fast charging with both MagSafe 3 and USB-C.
The M1 Pro and Max laptops were released back in late 2021, and due to
the outstanding performance of these machines, compared to the previous Intel MacBook Pros, even the base model is a big step up, due mainly to the vertically integrated M1 chips.
But who can take advantage of that extra power?
Creative professionals using Lightroom, Photoshop, or Affinity Photo for photo editing, using Premiere Pro, DaVinci Resolve, or Final Cut Pro for video editing, using Ableton Live or Pro Tools for audio editing, game asset creators and 3D modelers using Blender, Houdini, and Autodesk Maya.
Software developers, having a powerful machine makes a big difference, especially in being able to run the tools efficiently without any unnecessary time wasting. Of course, battery life and having a stable machine play a big part too. Future proofers, those that want to try new careers and workflows which may require a machine with more power. And finally, long-term buyers, those who want something powerful that looks good and will be with them for many years to come.
The good news is, if you fit into any of these or similar categories, then the M1 Pro should be able to service 99% of your needs.
There will always be some edge cases that require even more power. So if you need it alongside a degree of portability, then
maybe go for the 16-inch M1 Max or the 16-inch Asus ProArt StudioBook Pro.
So if you're one of those that are feeling frustrated because you've been waiting patiently for the new M2 Pro and Mac laptops to release,
here's a few reasons why maybe you shouldn't be. The higher clocks require more power and only achieve a maximum performance advantage of 18% in multi-core scenarios. There are unlikely to be any new design changes. Apple updated the look with the 2021 M1 laptops, and the company typically uses the same design for several years. There's still conflicting reports on whether there will be 3nm or 5nm chips. Everyone's obviously rooting for 3nm as the smaller chips reduce power consumption and ultimately improve performance.
Potential price increases for an already expensive M1 Pro and Max means that you'll potentially be paying even more for what is ultimately a small step change.
OLED screens will be part of a bigger update, but again, the rumors right now indicate these will not be included in the M2 Pro and Max updates for 2023. They are falling behind though, as the latest ProArt machines are already rocking 4K OLED. There's been no rumors to confirm or deny the inclusion of Face ID in the 2023 refresh, but with lightning fast Touch ID, you certainly wouldn't put off buying the current M1 Pro for this. Now, the display on the 14-inch M1 Pro is simply stunning. Everything looks extremely sharp due to the 3K screen resolution and the mini LED backlit Liquid Retina XDR display. I love the thinner bezel design, which looks much more modern and contributes to more pixels against the size of the frame. The brightness is great, especially if you're somewhere that's well lit, with peaks of 1600 nits for HDR content. The colors are awesome as it utilizes a wide color gamut. It also has True Tone technology, which will adjust your screen's brightness and temperature to fit the light in the room or environment. It has ProMotion technology for adaptive refresh rates of up to 120 Hz or FPS, so zipping around spaces and web pages is super smooth. And by this stage, most apps have been updated to cater for it. It's also adaptive, which is good for the battery, helping you utilize the tech when you need it most. Now, I've mainly been using the tool for making videos in Final Cut Pro, and the improvements in frame rate from the previous Intel MacBook Pros really help in getting around the timeline, making edits, replaying content, adding effects, and adjusting transitions. It's also great for editing raw photos in Affinity Photo 2 and exporting PNGs for any YouTube stuff. Now I do usually have the machine docked, so I can take advantage of my Samsung 27-inch Viewfinity 4K monitor and be more productive. But when I'm using this undocked, I can still comfortably edit videos and images in a more relaxed environment and make good progress on all parts of my workflow. Okay, so let's talk quickly about the notch. It contains a 1080p webcam, true tone sensor, an ambient light sensor, and an LED light. For me, its main use is just to squish menus either side of it. If you're watching a video in full screen, it just gets hidden in a black bar of pixels. It hasn't bothered me at all. Now, if you're comparing the screen with the 16-inch M1 MacBook Pro, you'll be getting 12% less pixels and screen real estate. So if you're not docking the machine and you're using it as your primary display, then maybe the 16-inch is the way to go. More screen real estate generally equals faster productivity, at least for me. But seeing as I have it docked most of the time I'm at home, I take advantage of the power with an even bigger 27-inch 4K screen for more productivity, while also taking advantage of the 14-inch M1 Pro's small form factor for portability. Okay, let's talk about my experience lugging around the 14-inch M1 Pro, and then we'll do some comparisons with the 13.6-inch M2 Air and 16-inch M1 Max. So the 14-inch M1 Pro is 1.55 centimeters in height, 31.26 centimeters wide, and has a depth of 22.12 centimeters. It can fit easily into most regular sized backpacks, including my 26-liter North Face Volt Day Pack, leaving a lot of room for a gimbal, charger, external drive, and any other peripherals you may be packing. Now, for such a powerful laptop, surprisingly it only weighs 1.61 kilograms, which in real terms is quite comfortable to hold. Moving it around the house, to the couch, dining table, and patio is actually something that I enjoy. It's also great if you're lugging it 10 or 20 minutes from the car or train to your workplace or a meet point. So compared to the 13.6-inch M2 Air, the width and depth are roughly the same. However, the 14-inch M1 Pro is 27% taller and 23% heavier. Compared to the 16-inch M1 Max, it's only 1mm shorter, has 12% less width and 11% less depth. And in terms of weight, it's roughly 25% lighter.
So if portability and power are important, then the 14-inch M1 Pro is the smart choice.
With the particular spec I have, the M1 Pro recorded the following CPU and GPU Geekbench results, and these haven't changed since 1 year ago. So if you're using the 14-inch M1 Pro for basic tasks like script writing, watching YouTube, shopping online, sending emails, etc., it's lightning fast. I've had no issues color grading my PNGs in Affinity Photo. Adding contrasts, curves, or color adjustments are quick and easy. I can also make adjustments to 25 megabyte RAW files with no issues, and exporting to PNG only takes about 4.5 seconds. Now let's try something a little more power hungry with Final Cut Pro. So keep in mind this is only 4K 30 FPS footage, but as you can see when I scrub through the content, color grade, or move through the timeline, there's no visible slowdown or issues. And when playing content, it runs very smooth and there are no drop frames, which is something I used to experience quite often with my old MacBook Air. Now in terms of exporting, I usually export to MP4 using the better quality with 4K resolution. In this example, the video is 14 minutes and 56 seconds with some average level text effects and transitions.
During the export, there was no fan noise at all.
The export took 18 minutes and 10 seconds and was done while on battery using just 7%.
So the 14-inch M1 Pro still has amazing performance 1 year later.
Now the black keys and black backing give the keyboard a clean, high-end look.
In terms of major differences from previous iterations,
the touch bar is now gone and replaced with the standard keys again.
Apple backtracking on this one, and I'm happy with it, as I prefer the physical key presses as opposed to touch and swiping.
The keys have been much more responsive compared to the previous butterfly keys. They travel much better and typing overall is just more fluid. They are also backlit with decent adjustability. You can adjust the brightness via the menu, and in keyboard preferences you can adjust the ambient light sensor settings as well. Regarding the Touch ID, when opening the machine and getting started, it's great to not have to enter your password. It's also super responsive and fast. I love it. After 1 year's use, I found typing comfortable as the aluminium surface and edge is easy on your wrists and hands. However, the keys do collect oil from your fingers, which are more visible on the black. But with a quick wipe down, it's as good as new. Now the 14-inch and 16-inch M1 Pro machines both have the same keyboard size. The M2 Air is also the same size, but utilizes the laptop's aluminium alloy color as the backing instead of the black. After 1 year, there's been no wear and tear on the keys. The trackpad has been super responsive and I've had no issues with it. It also really shines when utilizing the 120Hz refresh rate. Now the trackpad is the same size on the M2 Air, but if you want a bigger one, then the 16-inch has that. After 1 year, there's also been no wear and tear on the trackpad. So in terms of ports, we have one MagSafe 3 charging port, 3 Thunderbolt 4 USB-C ports, one HDMI 2.0 port, one SDXC card slot that supports UHS 2, and a headphone jack.
And again, just like the touch bar, this is another reversal from Apple.
First, the MagSafe charging port utilizes a stronger new MagSafe 3 connector, and the cable itself is made with a woven design for long-lasting durability. It also never gets tangled, which is great if you're traveling a lot. It also comes with this 96-watt brick, which as mentioned earlier is a small upgrade over the 67-watt option. Now compared to the other models, the 16-inch M1 MacBooks come with a 140-watt brick, however the M2 Air has quite a small brick in 30 and 35-watt options. Now the 3 Thunderbolt 4 USB-C ports are great. You can see from my setup here, I do utilize the 96-watt MagSafe charger for fast charging, alongside one USB-C to DisplayPort cable. Make sure the cable specs can take advantage of the 4K at 120 FPS. This one, which can also handle 8K at 60. One USB-C cable to this versatile small Anchor hub, which has 2 USB-A ports for keyboard and mouse, and one USB-C data port so I can record audio by my Shure MV7 microphone, which leaves the remaining USB-C slot for an external 2TB SanDisk drive. I can tuck these out of sight for a cleaner look, and that's all I really need. It also saves me an expensive hub. Strange that the HDMI port is 2.0 and not 2.1, as it's an expensive laptop, but I don't use it anyway. Now even though I record 99% of my video footage on an iPhone, I do use the SDXC card slot for transferring a small amount of footage from my DJI Mini 3 Pro drone. Now I know others have had issues with the slot over the last year, but me personally, it works fine every time and saves me using a dongle. Lastly, the headphone jack. If you're still using a headphone jack on a laptop, it is nice for quick plug and play. It does also support high impedance headphones, however the power you get won't be as good as if you plugged in your own dedicated amp, so its usability is again questionable. So overall, I'd be happier if they just had 1 or 2 more USB-C ports instead.
But after 1 year, I've had no issues with wear and tear on the ports.
Now in terms of the batteries, the 14-inch M1 Pro comes with a 70-watt battery, compared to the 16-inch M1s which come with a 100-watt battery, and the M2 Airs which come with a 52.6-watt battery. Now in terms of battery usage, if I'm using it all day around the house without connecting to power for things like script writing, YouTube, shopping, sending emails, etc., then the 14-inch M1 Pro will last me around 10 to 12 hours. However, if I'm doing more intensive tasks like photo editing and video editing, then that drops to around 5 to 8 hours. So for general usage, this will be beaten by the M1 Max 16-inch and M2 Airs.
But compared to any other laptop, it's still best in class.
And for the more intensive stuff, the M1 Max laptops with higher GPUs will run hotter and burn more power. So expect the 14-inch M1 Pro to win the race in battery efficiency here. Now the best part is, if you are really pushing the battery, then stick it on for a fast charge for 30 minutes.
To net yourself plus 50% battery.
I will then dock it overnight for a fresh 100% the next day.
Now in terms of battery degradation, I've seen no issues here either. It still charges to 100% and doesn't noticeably deplete any faster than when first bought. Now in general, laptop speakers have never been amazing.
And a majority of the time I'm using my wired ATH M50s or Bluetooth ATH M20s. But the sound on the M1 Pro and Max machines is pretty incredible. They actually sound so good that I sold my plug-in desk speakers to have a cleaner desk and solely use the M1 Pro speakers. They utilize a high-fidelity 6-speaker sound system with force-cancelling woofers and have wide stereo sound. Here's a quick demo of me listening to some music on Soundstripe. also have support for spatial audio when playing music or video with Dolby Atmos, as well as spatial audio with dynamic head tracking when using AirPods 3rd Gen and above, AirPods Pro and AirPods Max.
For such a powerful laptop, the 14-inch M1 Pro is still quite compact. The battery also complements this well with fast charging via MagSafe or USB-C with a 96 watt or greater charger, a 4 here. So the performance is a giant step forward. Even the base model can comfortably handle workflows from any creative professional or software developer. With a 3K resolution, as well as improvements to brightness levels and 120 Hz refresh rate, the display is beautiful to work on. Complement that with a keyboard and trackpad that boosts productivity, and the best sound I've ever heard on any laptop, it gets a 5 here. Now the ports were a hit and miss for me. Don't get me wrong, the 3 Thunderbolt 4 USB-C ports are great, but for the MagSafe, HDMI, SDXC card slot and the headphone jack, these could go in favor of, you guessed it, 1 or 2 more Thunderbolt 4 USB-C ports, a 3 here. Now the base spec is by far the best value for money, coming in at 3000 AUD. You do not need the extra CPUs or GPUs, but if you do have some extra money, I'd recommend getting the 1TB SSD and also get the 96 watt brick for fast charging. For a long-term purchase and with these upgrades, it's pretty good value, a 4 out of 5 here. In conclusion, if you're waiting for the new M2 Pro, then I would say it's probably not worth the wait. You can clearly see from the small performance improvements from the M1 Air to the M2 Air that we are likely to see incremental changes. If you're a power junkie, then you'll probably buy the M2 Max anyway. But for most people, the M1 Pro 1 year later is still a beast.
Thanks for watching. Appreciate any feedback in the comments. Until next time.